follow-up question arising from the response. Please avail yourself.
Yeah, lexin'wanyani Deputy President Nambuta Changana. Na ta vutisa ku ri hi mpfhuka ku sungula ku va na hasa leya ku tumeka ka gezi. Swi ti komba tiko ra hina ri nga kongomangi helo, mi ta tsundzuka leswaku business sector yi vaviseke nkarhi wo leha. Se na ta tiva ku ri xana ofisi ya n'wina yi kotile ku tihlanganisa na van'wamabindzu na? Ene loko ku mpela mi koti ku tihlanganisa na vona, mi fikelele xikongomelo xihi xa ku ri xa xitshembiso lexi mi nga ta xi nyika ku ya amahlweni hasa lenge le ku humeleleni hi mhaka ya ku tumeka ka gezi, hikuva sweswi chavisana lava nga ta va ta sungula ku endla xibindzu etikweni ra hina. Xana mina ku nga ri hi n'wina leri mi nga va na rona na van'wamabindzu va laha tikweni ra Afrika-Dzonga ke? Inkomo.
Yeah, you can see, Deputy President.
The issue about the so-called squabbles that you're talking about, I would say these are not squabbles. As the Minister of Public Enterprises announced, she said that the 4 executives had been by the board, requested by the board, and the chairperson of the board communicated that to them, that they were requested to be on leave of absence for 3 months so that an inquiry, an investigation can ensue. And she was particularly concerned about the quality of information that was coming through and issues that she regarded as being pertinent to addressing the challenges that Eskom is facing. Now, that inquiry should be commencing soon, and really it is about getting information into her hands so that she can better assess precisely how Eskom is going to go about addressing all these issues. There is no political expediency about it, including the issue now of governance. The issue of governance is clearly a concern to us as government at the Eskom level, and we are certain that the Minister of Public Enterprises, working together with the board, will be addressing the issue of leadership. Every institution, every entity needs good, strong leadership to be able to execute its tasks. And that issue is being addressed, and soon we will have answers and solutions to the challenges of leadership that we also face. But having said that, the issues that I addressed in terms of how the war room is helping to address these matters continues. Issues of the immediate interventions that need to be taken, that continues. Last week, I also announced that I appointed a panel of advisors, of highly skilled people, eminent people, who are assisting in providing advice and coming up with solutions on how best we can address some of these challenges. So when it comes to leadership, it's not like suddenly there's a huge vacuum. The board also appointed acting people, and they are acting, and they will execute their tasks within the parameters of the policy framework that Eskom has to operate under, and with the guidance of government, no doubt, but more especially the Department of Public Enterprises. Coming to the other issue that you raised in relation to kuri laba va mabindu na hi tirhisana njhani na vona. Nta kota ku mi byela ku ri i hlangane na vona vhiki leri nga hela. Loko i hlangane na vona, we were able to hear, as I said earlier, their proposals. And one of the issues that has come out of that is that I'm going to convene a summit which will be held between amongst all stakeholders in our country, labor, business, and government, and Eskom, and all the key players. And that summit will address, discuss, come up with a number of suggestions, issues that face us all collectively as South Africans with regard to electricity provision. So it's not like we are doing nothing. We are working day and night to address these problems. One of the things that I even said to some of the Eskom managers, I said, even if you have to go and sleep at the door of the power station, I want you to do that because we want energy provision in our country to be resolved. And the fact that they've been deployed to the power stations should be demonstration of the seriousness with which we are taking this task. And I'd like to assure all South Africans that we are addressing this problem. It is quite a complex problem. And it is not yesterday's problem, it emanates from our past. And we need to address it collectively with cool heads, with strong will, knowing that we will overcome this problem. We've overcome much more difficult problems in the past, and this electricity challenge we will also overcome. And what we don't need is moaning and whinging and all that. What we need is people who will come forward and say, we want you to strengthen your hand, we want you to be strong, and we want you to take action to resolve the problems that beset the country. That is what we expect of all of us.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Kaula. You had your chance, Mr. Mitileni. It is Honorable Kaula's.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, in October 2014, the Honorable Minister of Finance announced a bailout to Eskom of 23 billion rand to be paid in 3 installments or 3 tranches to Eskom. Now, against this background is an estimated amount of about 10 billion rand that is owed to Eskom by government at national level, at provincial level, and also at local government level. What I would like to know is, what is this war room doing in respect of government also contributing to the problems of Eskom financially by this failure to honor the payments which is due to Eskom? Thank you very much.
Deputy President.
This is one of the issues that has led the minister to request this investigation, that let us get better information on precisely that as well. So the war room is aware that there are a number of problems. At local government level, they owe Eskom. Even users in various parts of the country, they owe Eskom. And a number of government departments also owe Eskom. And now the war room is going through precisely some of those issues to address them, to ensure that Eskom has a better debt collection process or mechanism. And that is being addressed, and we are hoping that Eskom will be able to sharpen its own mechanism to collect monies that are owed to it. And there are quite a number of reasons why these monies are owed and are outstanding, but we are addressing that because we would like all those who owe Eskom money, be they municipalities, be they government departments, be they individuals or individual users, they must pay up. We must pay up what we owe to Eskom so that Eskom can have sufficient resources to address our electricity challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Zwane.
Person of Council, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, we are really happy for the clarity that you have given with regards to the various interventions by the government of the Republic of South Africa in trying to ensure that the situation of Eskom stabilizes. However, maybe it would be in the public interest to know if government has actually finalized the issue of tariffs. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Deputy President.
The issue of tariffs belongs in the terrain of NERSA. NERSA as the regulator is the one entity that determines the tariffs, and clearly working together with Eskom, of course with the Department of Public Enterprises, the tariffs are then finalized. But NERSA is the main player in this. So I think we should wait for NERSA to give that final determination, and it is that entity that we appointed, that we have as the regulator, so that independently they should take into account various factors that should finally lead to the decision on the tariffs. So NERSA, I'm sure, will come clean on all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. We proceed to our third question posed by the Honorable Mutara.
Madam Chairperson, the South African Development Partnership Agency was established as a government component in the year 2013 under the authority of the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation. Currently, plans are underway to operationalize this agency sometime this year. The 8th South Africa-Germany Binational Commission was held in Pretoria on the 21st of November 2014. It was co-chaired by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ms. Maite Nkwana Mashabane, and the German Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Frank Walter Steinmeier. The BNC is comprised of 9 committees, which are responsible for implementing BNC outcomes and identifying new areas for possible cooperation between our two countries. The Foreign and Security Policy Committee of the BNC includes in its agenda extensive consultations on continental and global issues. Cooperation between South Africa and Germany is ongoing, and there will be continuous engagements between the two countries to follow up on the outcomes of the 8th BNC. The 9th BNC, which will be hosted by Germany in the year 2016, like other international partners, will be working with South Africa as we expand our development cooperation on the continent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Mutara.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, in light of the number of strategic agreements and advancements that we have made through these agreements, in your opinion, is South Africa still in need of strategic development aid? And are we best placed to drive and deliver on development packages for the rest of Africa? Thank you.
Yes, we still need a number of engagements, interactions, and relationships with a number of international players, countries included. We do need these to further advance our own interests. We should remember that we are characterized as a developing country, and as we develop, it is in our best interest to have international linkages. And we have done extremely well in as far as having close relations with a number of partners, also in the form of forming binational councils with them, where we cooperate at close range and are able to reach a plethora of agreements that are able to take our objectives and vision forward. So as with Germany and indeed a number of other countries, we do enter into these agreements. And as we enter into these agreements, what we seek to do is to advance our own national interests. And so these agreements enable us to do so. They are a very good platform that enables us to achieve our own objectives. And of course, on a partnership basis, as we also help to advance the interests of our partners. And when it comes to Africa, Africa is a very important continent to us. We're part of Africa. We are Africans. And as we advance our own interests, we would also like, on an integration basis, to ensure that a number of African countries that we have dealings with, both economically, socially, trade-wise, and security-wise, are also advanced. And we start off with SADC, our own region, and we cooperate very closely with a number of countries in SADC and indeed with the rest of Africa. So reaching agreements, entering into agreements should be seen as part of one of our most important tasks as we extend our cooperation, as we extend our friendship, with a view of advancing our own interests as South Africans, as a nation. We want to place our interests and the interests of our people ahead so that we can address issues of poverty, unemployment, and inequality, and utilizing relationships with other countries, and countries, be they of advanced economic development or developing countries, we are able to achieve that. That is the remit of President Jacob Zuma's government. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Julius, the Honorable Mitileni, and the Honorable Labaskachni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, during the conclusion of the 8th Germany-South Africa Binational Commission in November 2014, it was then announced that Germany had committed substantial financial resources to promote these countries' excellent bilateral relations. The negotiations also affirmed Germany's intention to assist South Africa in its transition to a green economy under one of 3 focal areas of German development cooperation, energy, and climate. Will the Honorable Deputy President please provide the details of South Africa's transition to a green economy with the assistance of Germany? Are we only looking at Russia now with nuclear? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. We, as I indicated, have various agreements with a number of countries, and Germany clearly is one of those countries that we have agreements with. And as a developed economy country, they have developed quite a number of technologies that we can learn from, technologies that can help us to address our own challenges. And that is the advantage of having these binational commissions or councils, and through them we are able to mine some of their own technologies to get as much assistance as we possibly can. And with regard to advancing to a green economy, we are one of those countries that are greatly admired in the world in the way that we have embraced the green energy formation or generation. Many countries have not, particularly in the developing countries world, have not advanced as much as we have. We have done a lot, and we've utilized various technologies from a number of countries, Germany included, with regard to solar, with regard to wind, and also with regard to various other technologies, gas as well. We are utilizing those technologies that we are learning from them. I do not have the actual detail right now of the extent to which we've been working with Germany in a particularized way. But what we are doing is to take forward the relationship that we have with Germany to address quite a number of projects that we have in common. And that is the advantage of the binational councils that we have with Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Mitileni. Honorable.
Thanks. The proposed South African Development Partnership Agency would replace the African Renaissance Fund, originally targeted to position South Africa as a leader in the regeneration of the African continent. Unfortunately, Deputy President, South Africa sees the African continent as a war zone and not as a continent full of potential and worthy of a clear and strong commitment from the country. Is South Africa still committed to the African Renaissance Project? If so, why is the country no longer talking about NEPAD and the African peer review mechanisms, which were initiated in the then administration? And how would SAPDA reinvigorate the role South Africa plays in the development of the continent? Thank you.
I missed the last part. What is that?
The last part of the input, Deputy President, is the one that is the real supplementary.
How
How is SAPTA?
would SAPDA reinvigorate the role South Africa plays in the development of the continent as a whole?
The first part was a smuggling of a question on NEPAD and the African Renaissance. And the Deputy President may choose to respond to it, but it is really a new question.
I will respond to the one which is prefaced by South Africa sees Africa as a war zone. I think that is factually and completely wrong. South Africa does not see Africa as a war zone. If there ever was something that is completely off the mark and wrong, this is the statement that honorable member has just made. South Africa is committed to the African continent. We're not only committed, but we are Africa. We are part of the African continent. And our commitment to its development is irrevocable. It's not to be brought ever into question. And if one wanted to know whether NEPAD is being implemented, you need to see what South Africa is doing across the African continent. We have embassies strewn right throughout a number of countries in Africa, and we occupy pride of place, not only on the African continent. At the AU, we are a respected member of the AU, and we participate with all countries. And the fact that the African continent saw fit to elect one of our own homegrown person, Chairperson Nkosazana Zuma Dlamini, as Dlamini Zuma as a chairperson of the Commission, should testify to the fact that our commitment to NEPAD is quite deep and it is thorough. Now, what are we doing on the African continent? We obviously are pursuing our own interests, but at the same time we promote the interests of various African countries in the way we trade with them, in the way we deal with them, both at a social level, at a political level. And that is what we do. And we are advancing our interests as we advance the interests of a number of other countries in South Africa. And DERCO is the one that is dealing with SADPA, and they are advancing our interests in relation to that. And I would get DERCO to give chapter and verse precisely of all the initiatives that they are involved in. And SAPTA will assume responsibility for coordinating a number of other initiatives of assistance, of cooperation with a number of countries on the African continent. I'd like to assure the honorable member that we are living out the African Renaissance. We are implementing NEPAD. Our relations with various countries in Africa are underpinned by our strong resolve to make sure that we develop the African continent as we develop ourselves. And we do not want to see ourselves developing without moving along and cooperating fully with countries on the African continent. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. The Honorable Labaskachni.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy.
Honorable Labaskachni, you are not speaking into the mic.
I'm sorry, Chair, I'm trying to let you see me raising my hand. I'm already in the corridor. Deputy President, I would like to know what is or would be the difference, the form, the status, and the mandate of the South African Development Partnership Agency, and between that and the existing development partnerships that you spoke about now, such as the South African Development Community and the new Partnership for Africa's Development. The differences in form, status, and mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Deputy President.
The Department of International Relations and Cooperations has made a presentation, and I think they have made it to some of our stakeholders on the establishment of the South African Development Partnership Agency. The key aspects of the South African Development Agency would be to replace the Africa Renaissance Fund, where those aspects are to advance the African agenda, promote regional cooperation, promote South-to-South cooperation, and promote the Millennium Development Goals with the objective of focusing on cooperation between South Africa and other African countries. That is the main objective. And SADPA will address the shortcoming in the management and implementation of development projects, experience where the African Renaissance Fund may have fallen short. And SADPA will also use development cooperation as a tool to advance South Africa's foreign policy goals. That is what it will be doing. It will be focusing on that. And this is no different from what I've been saying, that our main objective is to promote good relations with all countries on the African continent and get to a point where, as we develop, we also foster the development of other countries so that we are seen as a good neighbor, an ideal neighbor, and a neighbor that all countries on the African continent can do business with. So this is what drives and propels our foreign relations policy. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. We proceed to our fourth question. It is put by the Honorable Kaula.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, South Africa has signed bilateral agreements with Russia in several areas, including in the area of nuclear energy. In his 2015 State of the Nation address, President Jacob Zuma indicated that any matters related to the procurement of nuclear energy will be done in an open and transparent manner. As announced by the Department of Energy, South Africa has also signed bilateral agreements on nuclear energy with China, South Korea, and France. Now, the process of signing agreements with the US, Canada, and Japan is at an advanced stage. The governance of the Nuclear Energy Corporation is guided by, among others, the Nuclear Energy Act, the Companies Act, and the Public Finance Management Act, and it would therefore be unaffected by any bilateral agreements. I thank you.
The Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyathokoza, Sihlalo Hloniphekile. And thank you, Honorable Deputy President. By the way, Honorable Deputy President, I noted with interest the Honorable Deputy President's response to the Eskom question on the board of Eskom, suspensions, stamp of approval. And on a similar matter, NECSA, board, suspensions, blockages. Two different boards, similar issues, different approaches. In view of the developments at NECSA, where there are seemingly sour working relationships between NECSA board members and the CEO, and also sour relationships between NECSA board members and the minister. After the board suspended the CEO and the minister intervened for the board to reverse its decision, it is alleged that This was done to protect some powerfully connected people at NECSA. Should the board not be given space to implement its mandate transparently and impartially by, amongst other things, being left alone to conduct their original investigation on the CEO, an investigation which the minister had supported earlier on in December, and even wrote a supportive letter on the move to the board, but later in February, she backtracked against it in a surprising about 10. Why is the board not being trusted to execute their mandate? Is this interference not shielding those who may be culprits in the required investigations? Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Deputy President.
I am not aware of anyone who's being shielded. The minister, as a public official in our country, will always seek to act in a way that will advance the interests of the ministry that she oversees, the interests of South Africa, and indeed our interests collectively as South Africans. So what is underway is a process where things are being addressed with a view of finding solutions. And clearly, solutions will be found, and this I would regard as a hiccup in the process of governance, in the process of trying to see how best these institutions should be run. And I would advise that let us wait for the process to unfold, and thereafter the minister and government will be able to set out very clearly what is the way forward. And I would say, let us have that patience. I know when these things happen, it is always disturbing, unsettling, unnerving for all of us, but let us rest assured that the matters are being handled and they are being addressed, and proper solutions will be found, as we always seek to find proper solutions for all the challenges that we face. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Van Dingen.
I'm standing here with my, the agreement between the government of the Russian Federation and the government of the Republic of South Africa on the strategic partnership and cooperation in the fields of nuclear power and industry in my hand. Why is it that government has been so secretive about this agreement, and whilst it has been made public by Russia already? And why and when will it be tabled in Parliament? Not only this one, but also the other agreements that you have signed as government, as executive.
Honorable Van Dingen, you're making my life very difficult. You are bringing in a new question.
It's not new.
It is a new question. That question does not come out of what is asked by the Honorable Kaula. And I am again going to leave it to the discretion of the Deputy President. But it is a completely new question which has nothing to do with the question as put by the Honorable Kaula and the response that the Deputy President has given on that question. Deputy President.
Honorable Chairperson, I think it should suffice to say that when the President addressed the State of the Nation, or put the State of the Nation to the nation, he did say that all these things that are being done with regard to nuclear energy are going to be done in a very open and transparent manner. That is what our President said. And I think we should rely on that and know that he has put all that to the nation. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Mtileni.
I'm covered because part of what he has just answered, Mrs. Van Lingen, was what I was to ask.
Yes.
That is this...
Order, members. There's a member on the floor. Yes, sir, proceed.
I was to say the Deputy President has answered the question that I was to pose to him.
Thank you.
Because I was to say is this nuclear deal not going to open up, or maybe leave the other ANC members, with kickbacks, when this deal is
You are
being
completely out of order, sir. Deputy President, that was no question. Honorable members, that was the last supplementary request for supplementary that I received on that question.
Between Honorable Labuskaghni and yourself, the Honorable Deputy President. And she's been trying to catch your eye, and it's not with disrespect that I'm getting up to point it out.
Honorable Labuskaghni, did you want to make a supplementary on this particular question? Please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy President, apart from the fact that the terms of agreement leans very heavily in Russia's favor, with Russia, for example, being able to veto South Africans' intentions to do business with other nuclear vendors for a minimum binding period of 20 years, it appears that the agreement lays the groundwork for government-to-government contracting, which is designed to possibly sidestep the constitutional requirements for open and competitive tendering processes. What procurement process will be utilized to ensure that the nuclear build program will be open and transparent as the Constitution demands? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Madam Chairperson, one of the processes that is involved in all this is, as I said in my initial answer, a process through which various agreements are being entered into with a number of parties. And I did say that Canada, the United States are also in line to be entering similar agreements with South Africa. And thereafter, you could say that this is like the preliminary stage. And thereafter, what has been happening now are pre-tender workshops that have been ongoing, involving a number of parties, officials, experts, various people from all those countries and entities, and they have, over quite a number of days, been involved in workshops and looking very closely at what is involved in all this. The next process is going to be the tendering process. And clearly the tendering process that we will get involved in is going to be a tendering process that is very much in line with a good tendering process where, as the President said, there will be openness, there will be transparency. That is what is going to unfold with all this. Now, all these ghosts and horror stories and things that people are talking about are things that they are imagining clearly, and I think we should rely on what this process that's underway will yield, and precisely on what the President said in SONA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We proceed to the fifth question, which was put by the Honorable Makwe. He is not in the House. Arrangements have been made with the Honorable Nyambi. The Honorable Deputy President.
I've been informed by the Department of Energy that it is currently doing an analysis and evaluation of all bilateral agreements on energy which have been signed with 63 countries. From 1994 until 2009, the energy portfolio was part of the Department of Minerals and Energy, and most bilateral agreements involve both minerals and energy. The department itself has been requested to disaggregate this information so that the work done by the energy portfolio can be properly evaluated. The Department of Energy will make this information public as soon as this work has been completed. Government is currently considering further bilateral cooperation and partnership agreements, especially with countries within the African continent. The bilateral cooperation and partnership South Africa is seeking and is planning to sign are focusing on policy and expert assistance. In some cases, pilot projects form part of this cooperation in sustainable energy infrastructure, such as a pilot solar rooftop project. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Nyambi.
Ngiyabonga Sihlalo. Mvokoto kimi ukuthi lo mbuto uphenduleke ngalokugcwele. Ngaphandle kwekuthi nje lokusele kuwo ukuthi through you, Chairperson, Deputy President, is it possible maybe to give the House the time frame that has been given to that process of the evaluation of the bilaterals?
Thank you, sir. Deputy President.
I sought to get a time frame. I was not able to get it before coming here, but all I was informed is that the work is in process, and once the work has been properly concluded, it will be made public. I'm sorry I can't give chapter and verse, date and hour of when that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Any other follow-up question on this question? None. Oh, the Honorable Khayla.
Honorable Deputy President, has the government signed any bilateral cooperation with African countries? And if so, how many African countries have signed bilateral agreements on energy? Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy President.
Honorable Chairperson, as I indicated, this evaluation is currently underway, and so far up to 63 agreements have been signed. We'll be able to disaggregate all this and identify the number of agreements that have been signed in relation to energy and with which countries. But what we can say is that in pursuance of our African policy of cooperating with a number of countries in Africa, we have entered into a number of agreements, and some of them have to do with energy, and that will be disclosed publicly once the information has been properly aggregated. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. That was the only other supplementary hand we had. We proceed to our last question of the day. It is posed by the Honorable Lebaskachny.
Chairperson, thank you. In many countries in the world, public employment programs are important policy instruments that government use to create short-term employment programs. And this has been used as a policy instrument from time immemorial. Honorable members may recall from history that whenever there have been economic challenges that countries have faced, many countries and governments have embarked on public employment programs. So we are not new in this. Currently, we've got many of our people unemployed, and the government, as a responsible government, has decided that it will embark on public employment programs so that a number of our people whose livelihoods are threatened by poverty, structural unemployment, and economic recession, including natural disasters, job losses, and seasonal job demand shortfalls, their livelihoods are secured and advanced. In South Africa, the expanded Public Works Program, what we call, as we all know, EPWP, is a government initiative aimed at addressing the triple challenge of unemployment, inequality, and poverty through provision of short-term and medium-term work opportunities. To ensure that the program is sustainable, the EPWP programs are designed to equip participants who participate in these programs with training and work experience to enhance their ability to earn a living in the future. Public employment programs under the EPWP cover a wide range of different sectors, including infrastructure, social, environment, and non-governmental. Since the establishment of EPWP, over 5 million South Africans have benefited from work opportunities that have been created through some of these programs. EPWP achieves far more than providing income to the most needy amongst our people. It also improves the lives of the poor by providing a wide range of services as well as assets. For example, it provides home-based care for the sick and elderly by removing invasive alien plants. It creates better pastures for grazing in a number of parts of our country. And through better roads, it creates better access to markets, to schools, to clinic, and enables people to go about. Approximately half of all EPWP participants were unemployed for more than 3 years prior to working in EPWP projects. The EPWP program provides an opportunity for them to work and to earn an income. And what many of us have seen is that as people participate in these programs, they are able to gain skills which they are then able to gainfully use or deploy whenever they get more permanent work. These programs have been lauded internationally. South Africa has received great recognition for pioneering or charting new paths with regard to the way that we are implementing these public employment programs. And they are serving a good purpose amongst our people. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Lebuskachne.
Deputy.
Deputy President. Would you please provide us with the information on what measures will the government put in place, or did the government put in place, to enable people involved in the short-term job creation programs, such as the EPW, to migrate into permanent and full-time positions as promised by President Zuma in his most recent State of the Nation address?
Deputy President.
Chairperson, the EPWP programs enable people to gain skills, to also gain experience, and to be exposed to a labor market, to be able to learn how the world of work operates and works, and by so doing, they are in the main, particularly for young people, training ground to prepare young people for the world of work. It is through these processes that young people are then made attractive to potential employers. Because in the main, potential employers want people who have a measure of experience, who have a measure of skill, and who can demonstrate that they know how the world of work operates. So these EPWP programs, more than just being processes or a project through which people earn a short-term income, they are preparatory ground for people to showcase themselves to potential employers and demonstrate that they can work. Now, a number of them, some of whom one has met personally, have been able to say, through the EPWP project, I was able to gain this job and that job because I got used to the world of work, and I was able to either do some building, fighting fire, and all that. Now, a good demonstration of that is what we saw here in Cape Town, when we had fire in Cape Town. Many of those people who fought the fire gallantly are people who were trained in working for fire. They gained their skills there. And many of us are often tempted to dismiss these programs as Mickey Mouse, as amounting to nothing. In fact, these are meaningful jobs. They are job opportunities, yes, but they perform meaningful work. I have seen how those who work in the environmental sector are able to gain skills, removing invasive plants in our country, and they have been able to free the waterways of our riverbanks, and through that they also gain skills to know plants, to know what is invasive, and to be able to make a contribution in as far as the environment is concerned. Where do they get jobs? Some of them get jobs in forestry, they finally get jobs in farming operations and all that. So I urge us as South Africans never ever to dismiss as Mickey Mouse the task that is being done by all those people who wear the orange overalls in our country. They are doing meaningful work. Let us give them the respect and the recognition that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Kaula.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy President. The Auditor General in the 2013-14 audit report for Public Works states that the EPWP employment figures are, in his opinion, unverifiable. I don't know if something will be done to address that, but I also want to know, outcome 4 of the National Development Plan speaks of decent employment through inclusive growth. The Honorable Deputy President has partly responded to this, but it's indirectly. I would like to know the direct one, if the short-term job creation programs that we are talking about are a response to outcome 4 of the NDP in a direct but not indirect way. Thanks.
The Deputy President.
Chairperson, clearly the issue of being able to verify the job figures should be a challenge, because these jobs are created throughout the length and breadth of our country, quite a number of them at provincial level, but many of them at local council level. And because they are temporary in nature, and even if I were to be an auditor, I would also find it quite difficult to put one's finger on them at the time. But with time, after possibly a few months and so, the figures are set and they are verifiable. And I don't know what period the Auditor General was dealing with. The Department of Evaluation and Performance Management has been able to go into some greater detail in as far as evaluating the efficacy and the effectiveness of the EPWP projects, and they have been able to satisfy themselves that the figures that they are being given, they can look at them closely and they can verify them. So I think it's possibly a question of timing in terms of when those figures can be verified. But it is a complex matter. I'm not saying that it is beyond the ability of the Auditor General to be able to do so, but I just think that we can verify it in a number of ways. Outcome 4 indeed talks about, of the NDP, talks about decent jobs. Now, decent jobs are jobs where people perform permanent work, where people benefit from all the other benefits that an employment process can offer them, like pension and medical aid and all that. Now, EPWP jobs are not permanent jobs. We call them, or we should regard them as a stepping stone, as a good stepping stone, and that is why we call them job opportunities. They are not permanent jobs, and that is the clear distinction. And in this regard, we're not trying to hoodwink anyone. These are jobs that are of a temporary nature, short-term or medium-term, where people participate in a particular project, limited in time duration, and even the participant accept them as such. They know that EPWP jobs are for that duration, and they participate enthusiastically knowing that they can either learn skills, they get experience, and they are then able to showcase themselves to future employers who may want to employ them. So there's a clear distinction between the two. Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Esak.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity. Deputy President, I'll try and keep it simple. Will the Honorable Deputy President please provide examples of successful short-term job creation programs? Successful short-term job creation programs where government, the private sector, and civil society have worked together to combat poverty sustainably. Thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
You said you were going to be simple, Honorable Member. There are a plethora of them. I'm quite happy, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Member, to provide that information in writing, because there are quite a number of instances. What I did cite was working for fire. This is where the private sector and government have been able to participate in training people, making sure that they can attack fire, work with fire without getting killed, without burning out. Now, I know a number of instances where around the number of areas in our country on working for fire that has been done. I know of instances where these people have been trained through the EPWP program, and they are then able to work with private sector entities, and they become like an army on standby to fight fire. And they are then sustained through either stipends from EPWP, where the private sector also assists. And these are highly trained people who, whenever there is a fire, are then able to get into their vehicles, in their uniform, with their equipment, go out and fight fire. Now, I also know of those who work in the environmental sector, and I'm happy, quite happy to provide chapter and verse, and name and operation as much as possible, because these are real live instances. These are not imagined, they are real instances of people who are benefiting from this process, and where there's a wonderful working together between the private sector and the public sector. Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Khosisi Tlamorago Tobejane.
Thank you, Chairperson of the Council. Deputy President, one has got no doubt that the program we are talking about, it's helping our communities a lot. There's no doubt, nobody will make you, should make you to doubt that program. There are, little challenges that I would want to check. How do we monitor them? That of the 5 million that we are talking about, how do we be sure that we don't recycle one person again and again while others are looking at that particular person? What kind of monitoring are we putting in place to make sure that indeed this program achieve what we intended to achieve out of it? Thank you very much, Chair.
Deputy President.
Chairperson, thank you. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for raising that question, because it has been raised before that these programs should not be programs through which we recycle the same people over and over again, and they become like experts at working in EPWP programs. This is a process that we're still learning a lot of lessons from ourselves. And as we gain experience and knowledge, I'm sure we are getting better and better also at being able to manage the people who participate. And as we manage them, we should create a very good balance of making sure that we don't recycle too many people. It is inevitable, I think, that you will find that those who have participated before do come back to participate. The good thing is that they themselves know that this is part-time, and they come in and they leave, and it's not permanent type of employment. And so when they are not selected next time, they will not believe that they have a right to have been selected and say, this is my rightful role, I should be here all the time. So as we gain more experience and as we get better and better, we will make sure that the recycling is not a great component of the program. There will be some who will be participating maybe twice or thrice, but we need to have a level of consideration to ensure that we do not recycle too many people, even as we are looking for experience, but we should be focusing more, yes, on younger people and on bringing new people into the program so that every South African who's without a job and who can participate in this program has a chance to participate. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Deputy President, this concludes our question session for today. We wish to take this opportunity, sir, to thank you for making the time to come to the National Council of Provinces and to give response and give account to what government is doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable members, just before we conclude, Honorable Mtileni, please take your seat. Thank you very much. Honorable members, the Chief Whip of the Council has requested me to ask the provincial whips and leaders of parties to please remain. This concludes the business of the day and this House's agenda. Thank you very much.